my name's Nate, and this is a 1917 American photoplayer. If you're new here, welcome. We're restoring this machine so we can use it for its intended purpose, to show silent film. This machine is entirely vacuum operated, and there are over 100 bellows in the piano alone just to make it work. And in this video, we're going to take a look at what it takes to restore just one of those bellows. But first, I want to show you how they work. So I made a little cutaway. And don't worry, this isn't out of the photoplayer. So this unit is called an expression pneumatic, and this one would operate the soft bass or the soft treble feature on the photoplayer. On the outside, there are three main features: the bellows here, and these two ports here. This is the suction port or the supply, and this is the input port where we get signal from our control. This supply port is always under vacuum, and this supply port connects directly to this chamber here highlighted in yellow. In this chamber we have a valve, and this valve controls whether or not this pneumatic or bellows is connected to suction or to atmosphere. Right now the input port is closed off, this valve is down, and no suction can get through this channel to the pneumatic, and the pneumatic is connected to atmosphere. So right now it's filled with atmosphere through this port here. Underneath this valve there's a little valve actuating pouch that is connected to the input channel. The top side of this pouch is exposed to suction as well. When the input port opens, this pouch inflates with atmosphere, the pouch lifts the valve. With the valve open, suction can now flow through this valve plate and pull all the air out of this pneumatic, and it can close. When the input port closes, the atmosphere is vented from underneath the pouch, it drops down, the valve drops down, and now this port here is connected to the atmosphere, and the pneumatic opens. So with the input port closed, the pouch is down, at rest, the valve is sucked tight against its seat, and this top port is open to the atmosphere, and the pneumatic is at rest. As soon as that input port opens to atmosphere, there's suction above this pouch, so it inflates with atmospheric pressure, it lifts the valve, and the pneumatic closes. And if we open this pneumatic up, we can see one other important feature of the system, and that's the bleed cup. This is a brass bleed cup that contains a tiny hole that's in line with the signal line to the pouch. Here we can see underneath the pouch through to the input line, and directly in that line is our bleed cup. This tiny bleed cup is always exposed to suction, so when the input channel closes, all the atmospheric pressure underneath the pouch is vented through that bleed cup so the valve can return to rest. There are actually three pneumatics like this in the piano, and I want to give you a little more context of what this one actually does. It attaches down here to the bottom left of the piano. It has a linkage that runs all the way up to the piano action, and it connects here to this arm. And when that pneumatic closes, it moves these bass hammers forward when you press the soft bass button on the console. And moving those bass hammers forward means they strike with less force, so they play more softly, and that allows the music in the treble and tenor section to stand out. This photoplayer hasn't been used in decades, and after so many years of sitting, the pneumatics have a bit of arthritis that's set in. So to bring them back into service, we're gonna have to give them a full overhaul. So actually the first thing to do when taking these apart is to try to tighten those top screws. And if they're stripped, we're gonna make note of that so we can repair it later. And what do you know, all four of them are stripped out. Right out of the gate, we're gonna start putting together a screw map to keep track of the hardware. I've labeled what this is for, and it's also important to note which direction is north on your map. Alright, I've got all the screws out, but there's two things that are stuck in here we need to deal with. The first is the signal fitting here. That's kind of pressed and glued in. We'll have to pull that out, ideally without damaging it. Then we need to separate the valve block from the pneumatic. They should just fall apart, but I think they were glued together during a previous restoration. It looks like somebody's already used pliers on that, but we've got a better method. Heat and, okay, they're still pliers, but round nose pliers. which fit nicely into here and won't distort it any further. These fittings aren't pressed in with much force, but there's also some sealant, so this heat should help soften that up. There we go. All right, next we need to separate the valve block from the pneumatic. Like I said, I think they're glued together. So once again, heat is our friend. We're gonna use these hot putty knives, and that should melt through any glue and help us get this apart. There's a valve in the middle of this, so I can't plunge this knife all the way down or I might bend it. So I've just gotta work my way around the perimeter. You know it's a good day in the shop when you risk being stabbed, burned, and getting lung cancer all in one operation. These hot knives really do help though. I can feel it melting the glue. I think that's it. Nope. Okay, never mind. There we go. Oh yeah. And now the first thing to do with these apart is to treat these strip screw holes with some CA glue. That should make them serviceable again. Now with this cracked open, we can see what we're in for as far as the restoration and how it works. Here's the pouch of our pneumatic. It's not the prettiest. Trying to scrape it off with my fingernail. It's still really strong. I still want to take it off. I think the material's too thick. Ultimately, we want to take this off because we need to seal the wood underneath it. Now, this photo player was last restored sometime in the 80s, which was quite a while ago. So I'm going to tear this thing down completely for a thorough rebuild. So I got the screws out for this valve plate, but it's pretty well glued in. So I'm going to heat it up, and that should loosen up the sealant so that we can pull this off without too much damage. Once it's warmed up, I'll use these padded pliers to pull on the valve stem. That way I don't damage the threads. These valve stems are just nickel-plated brass, so they're kind of soft. Here we go. With our disassembly complete, we can start cleaning up our wooden components of the pneumatic. All right, I've got the flab slattening bit here in the mill. Got the piece in the vise, it just barely fits. Let's try it out and see if we can get this old gasket off without ruining our piece. I just stopped the mill quick to show you. That's the great thing about this process is it literally highlights issues with these pieces. This is all a high spot that needs to come down to this level so that this will seal with the new gasket. Just got a little bit more to go. Pretty darn good. Something moved a little bit, so I got a little touch-up sanding to do. Next, we need to deal with this old glue that's scooped up in there. Of course, that would be really hard to scrape out. So we'll use this Forstner bit. There we go. With our valve block all cleaned up, we can use it as a template to create a new gasket. The original gasket was leather, but I like to use silicone sheet for gaskets because it's much more airtight than modern leather is. Next up, let's deal with that old pouch. So it's back to the milling machine. I've got to do this half of the unit as well, and you can see there's some original finish, some false graining that I want to keep. And the great thing about using the mill is I can resurface this working surface, but I can leave this decorative area alone and not have to refinish that. That's much better. Now this is ready for some resealing. Before we do any sanding, I want to reseal this pouch well so when I inevitably spill, onto the glue surface, it will get sanded off. To clean up these pouch wells, something that works really well are these little brushies. Now we can reseal it with shellac. I'm sealing the supply hole too, since those could be connected by the end grain of the wood, and we don't want any cross leakage there. With the old pouch removed, we can replace it. So, we need a new pouch. The material I'm using here is called pouch leather, and despite its name, I don't think it's from kangaroos. Alright, our baseboards are all cleaned up, we got our pouches cut. Now we can install the pouches. I'm using a thinned out, slow setting hide glue here to glue on the pouch. And then I'm just pressing it down on some nice clean glass with some wax paper between, just to make sure that is down flat. With our pouch repooched, let's take a closer look at the valve. Here's our valve. This is the old one. It's looking a little tired, but it's got leather on both sides. And it also uses these leather punchings so that it's adjustable, because the stem is threaded. I found that modern leather doesn't really seal that well, so looking at our new valve, I've used silicone sheet. This is for the inside face, and then the outside face uses traditional leather. It's glued to this disc with a silicone sheet glued on, and that's what actually seals against the valve stem. Luckily, I've got a bunch of spare valve stems in my above ground landfill. This type uses a force fit collar, and that's how we'll adjust the travel with this one. Finally, now that we've overhauled everything, we can begin the restoration. The lift arm is ready with a new bushing. Our pneumatics are cleaned up, ready for a new hinge. We've got our juicy silicone gasket. And our new valve is ready with the resurfaced valve plate and the valve block. With all our parts ready, I'd say, let's glue it to it. We'll start with this pneumatic and the new hinge. So I've got my hot plate here. I'm going to put down a sheet of plastic so the glue doesn't stick to the hot plate. Then we've got our new hinge, and I've set up this little fence here. That way my plastic sheet can slide underneath, but I can use it as a guide to rest these pneumatics against. That way they're in a nice straight line when I glue them together. All right, first we apply some high glue to the hinge, and then our boards. And rubber band clamps. I'll put one on the other end just to help them stay in line. All right, this is dried overnight. Looks good. Now we can cover it. Okay, we've got our strip of cloth. Got our jig that sets the span of the pneumatic. Oops. That goes this way. And then our hinged pneumatic. Since this is synthetic cloth we're using, we have to use synthetic glue. So not at all traditional, but very, very airtight and very long lasting, and that's what matters most. Now we can glue the sides. All right, still got to glue this hinge end, but we want to make sure I do that with the pneumatic closed so that the cloth isn't pulled tight and doesn't stretch. There we go, we've got one re-aired pneumatic. Let's take it for a test spin. Looks good. With our pneumatic re-aired, let's install that new valve. Okay, we can put the rebuilt valve into the block. And right away I can see that valve has nowhere near enough travel. It's actually holding the valve plate up. So we'll have to move this force fit collar down, which will increase the valve travel. And we do that over on the arbor press. I'll just screw it together temporarily here. These need to be set at 40 thousandths. Okay, I gotta move it a little more. Okay, I've adjusted this a couple times. Looks good. I promise we're on the home stretch. All right, now that our valve travel is set to 40 thousandths, we can go ahead and put some sealant on this valve plate so the valve truly seals. This is called PVCE glue. Yes, it is a glue, but it'll also act as a sealant. And I've made sure to thoroughly seal that wood so that it can be removed in the future. And now with our valve all set, we can button it up. Here we go. All right, I've got the pneumatics re-aired, the valve block assemblies have been reassembled. Let's screw it to it. And here it is, our completed pneumatic. Now I'm going to apply suction to the supply hose. I'm going to cover up the input line. And with constant suction on this hose, as soon as I let go of this input line, this pneumatic should close. And when I close this back off, it should open up again. All right, here we go. Closing this off. It works! This is by far my favorite part of these restoration projects, is taking something that hasn't worked in years and bringing it back to life. There are actually 3 of these expression pneumatics used in our photo player piano, and eagle-eyed viewers will probably notice that each one of these shows up in the restoration segment of the video. That's 3 components for our photo player complete, but we've got a lot more to go. If you'd like to see more of this project, stay tuned. Now, if you're a regular viewer of the YouTube channel here, you may have noticed I'm back. I'm really trying to make a go of this YouTube thing full time. And that challenge is twofold. First, it means that I need to find a video format that works for me as an editor and a producer and allows me to continue proceeding on this restoration project in a timely fashion. But it also means that I need to find a video format that works for you as an audience member. I know we cover a lot of information in this video, and I'd really like to know if this kind of format works for you, or maybe it's too long. Please let me know what you think, because I really want to find a system that works for both of us. If you'd like to support my work and help me make the switch to YouTube full-time, please consider subscribing over on Patreon. And a big thanks to those of you who have signed up on Patreon for your financial support. You help to make these videos possible. Special thanks go to Benjamin Domask-Rue, Dill Shake, oh good job, and John Grieve. Stay. We'll catch. Nice!